So how does price aggregate over time? All right. Well, one of the ways that we can see how this is happening is using these overlay charts. And again, you'll find them in my pinned tweet. And what I did was basically write a script for Thinkorswim where there are these overlays, and these overlays represent the different time frames. So in this particular instance, what we're looking at here is a 3-minute chart, okay, where every candle is a period of 3 minutes, okay? And those are the ones that I'm highlighting right now. You see them being highlighted, right? Those are the actual candles on the chart. That's the time frame that this chart is set to. Now within, those candles exist within a higher time frame, right? So in this case, the next time frame up that you see me highlighting now is this 15-minute overlay. So I'm highlighting that 15-minute overlay, and as you can see, we can see clearly how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles inside that each one of those 15-minute overlays, right? Yeah. So each 15-minute overlay is the aggregate of 5 3-minute candles, okay? Mm-hmm. And within, and each one of those 15-minute overlays exists within a higher time frame, which is the 30-minute candles that I'm highlighting now. And as you can see, each one of those 30-minute candles contains 2 15-minute intervals or 10 3-minute intervals. This is not something that you see on this chart. When you see this chart, all you see is candles that appear to be moving up and down, right? And it's worse when you get smaller into, like, let's say the 1 minute. Let's look at the 1 minute, okay? You look at this chart right here. I'm sorry, my computer's a bit slow, but I hope we don't freeze or anything. But when we look at this chart right here, I'm gonna squeeze everything together, okay? I've got extended hours on. So you can see price went down, price went up, price went down, price went up, price went down, price went up. Did it though? Did it? It didn't. Did it? Because why didn't it? Because it didn't move. Price doesn't move. It can't move. It can't go up or it can't go down. And what all of this apparent movement that you see here, what that looks like on a higher time frame, what we see here, and right now, don't pay attention to these lines or anything like that. I'm going to explain what that all means in a minute. But right now, let's just consider this entire period of time, the entire day's action, with all of its apparent movement up and down and up and down. If we go and we switch to a daily chart, what do we see? I find it. Okay.
That doji, that nasty little doji day down there. Doji cat.
One,
that's what I've been calling them, doji cat.
Solitary candle. Right. Is it moving? Nope. Mm-hmm. It's just sitting, right? Yeah. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving.
Doing nothing. Yes.
But it is changing. It is changing. So let's get back to the discussion real quick.
Okay.
All right. So because and what we see here with these overlay charts and what I just illustrated by blocking off one particular interval is the fact that the price aggregates over time, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that we look at charts is deficient, because unless you are looking at a flex grid where you can see all of the time frames, or if you have one of these overlay charts like this, you're missing a big part of the picture, and you're being fooled into thinking that there's movement when there really isn't. It's just aggregating over time, right? So because price aggregates over time, every candle is a numerical data set. So not only is the chart itself, the entire chart, a numerical data set, right? Each candle on its own is a numerical data set, representative of the historical prices that were paid while that interval was active, right? So what we see as a chart is actually the graphical representation of the data set of prices that have been paid over time. Price doesn't move, it aggregates over time. So when we see any intraday chart with all of its apparent ups and downs, what we are really seeing is a data set of the prices paid during that day spread out over time. But if we look at the daily chart, that entire day's action is reduced to a single solitary candle. And we already said it's not moving. It's right, it stays right.
I agree with that. I agree.
And because it stays right where it is, it has a position. And that position, though the candle is changing, that position doesn't change. So if it's going to go above previous day's high or below previous day's low, that's how we gauge the scenarios, because it's not moving.
Correct.
All right, so price can't move. We established that, but it can change because it's a number, and it is changing. It's constantly changing. That daily candle doesn't move, but it does change while the period is active, right? Once that period is no longer active, once it's the next day, that candle is fixed in time forever. That period will never change again. That candle will always be a scenario 1, 2, or 3, whatever it was, right? Now, we don't compare scenarios to future candles. I mean, we do, but we compare them to the previous candles because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? But we do know where they start, which is where they open, right? And every candle, when it opens, is a single solitary line until the trading begins, and then that line starts to go up or down, right? And as that line goes up or down, we know the candle goes red or green, right? Yep. And it may or may not leave behind a wick, but it always gets bigger because the range is always going to get bigger,